All right, so here we are, habit number 11 for more interesting photos. The last one, you made it. Whew. By the way, the reason all my lists, whenever I make a list, I don't do lists of 10. I do lists of 11 for a couple of reasons. One, it's different, so it gets attention. People notice it, hopefully. And then the other reason is kind of a throwback to the movie This Is Spinal Tap. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's one of the first mockumentaries. And so the lead guitar player in the band has an amp that goes to 11. So all my lists go to 11. Anyway, here we are at the end. This habit number 11, is to get uncomfortable, to not just be satisfied. So there's lots of levels of that, layers of how that works. There's a psychological component to that, a physical component to that. But when you're paying attention to it and not just doing what's easy and normal and expected, either physically or emotionally, your photos will tend to be more interesting. They'll have more edge to them, more investment by you, which then tends to make, again, the photos more interesting. If it's just too easy, oftentimes the photo isn't very interesting. It doesn't have as an emotional connection. It might just be pretty. Pretty is good, but sometimes pretty or nice isn't enough. We want more than that. So a couple ways to think about being uncomfortable. Let's talk about emotionally first. So emotionally being uncomfortable means you're not sure that this is going to work. You're not sure this is a good idea. The nice thing about photography, especially if you're working by yourself, if you're just thinking, I want to try this, there's really no downside to trying it. Failing and finding out what doesn't work, what you don't like to do, is a great way to learn what you do like to do and how to do it better. When you're working with other people, though, like say if you're taking pictures of people and want to try something new, there's a bigger risk there emotionally. Because if it fails, then you might not get paid, or you might not get rehired, or you might get a bad name. So that's a little tougher decision. Here's a couple places where I've taken some risks emotionally, and with clients. They were both at weddings, and I really liked how they turned out. So the first one is this sunset picture I'm going to show you at a wedding. And the sunset was just amazing, and it was really quite nice. And in this first photo where you see all the rays of light, and then in the second where you see it over her shoulder, the bride's shoulder, and she's just looking at the photo, or looking off to the side. Here's how we did that. So it started with that amazing sunset, and I kind of whispered, because I was the assistant on this, I said, well, we're in a dirt parking lot. Why don't we make some dust and throw some dust in the air and get some sun rays and some texture to this light? And I thought it was just kind of silly. I just kind of said it almost jokingly so it was safe in case someone thought it was a bad idea. They thought it was a good idea. So when we get to this last photo here, the groomsman on the far right, the left, what he did is he got in his Suburban and he drove up and down in this dirt parking lot, and he made this cloud of dust. You can kind of see it in their faces as the dust is settling. But this dust that kicked up added atmosphere to the light. So remember, pay attention to the light. That's one of the other habits. I don't remember which number. So combining those things, thinking and taking a risk. I had an idea, and I kind of jokingly said it to protect myself. It was accepted. So, and it turned out great. I really like this photo. I think it's kind of semi-genius, if I do say so myself. Another photo at a wedding that I tried something not really different, but it's different for me. I'm not good at posing people. At least I don't feel like it. It's a skill I'm still trying to learn. So at this, the next wedding, I'm going to show you this photo of the groomsmen. I just said, well, let's walk across this field, and you guys just stand there. And it's a simple pose. There's not much to it. But I really like the way it turned out. You kind of get a sense of the guys, both their, what is the word I'm looking for? They were both playful and serious. They were very glad to be there for the day, and they wanted to play and have fun and support their friend who was getting married. So I hope that comes through in this photo. I was nervous taking it because is this a good idea or not? And I think the photo turned out pretty neat. Another way to be uncomfortable in taking photos, here's a reason why you get uncomfortable. As I mentioned at the beginning, when you're just comfortable, that often just means normal, average, and so your photos tend to be normal and average. There's a physical component to that as well. The interesting perspectives, which is another habit I don't remember the number of either, look it up, is often found by moving your body, by putting your body in spaces that are often physically uncomfortable, being down on the ground or bending down, so you're using your legs, or you're lifting your camera up, or you're bending, you're moving, you're not just standing straight and at your normal height. So that kind of thing is one kind of physical discomfort. Another way to look at that is going to places that are uncomfortable, getting up early for the sunrise, camping overnight in the winter where it's really cold to get that snow sunrise, staying late, hiking to places that most people don't go. There's lots of ways that a potential physical discomfort, being uncomfortable, to get to the place where the photo is, where most people don't go. So taking some chances there physically, in the sense of you're doing something that is not just sitting on your couch watching Netflix. For me, both kind of a combination psychological feeling about physical discomfort, I'll share, is travel. I like going places, but I don't like flying. I don't mind the flying, it's the turbulence I don't like. This past September in 2018, Debbie and I went to London. So it was a 9-hour flight, thank goodness, just a straight connection. And but that was a bit of a for me. So I had to get a little uncomfortable to get to a place where I would have amazing experiences. And then once I was there, it was pretty easy. They had great donuts and great, amazing things to look at and experience. And one of the things I did, again, another discomfort for me, so think about what yours are, is I don't like bridges. Just kind of scared of the heights and so I walked out on a bridge and took some pictures. I walked out on Tower Bridge and walked all the way across it. It's probably a quarter mile across, maybe a little more, but I walked all the way across, and about in the middle, I looked over my shoulder and I saw this sunset picture of the Shard and London City Hall and the Thames River, and it's in the middle of a bridge, and I had to stop, which again I don't like to do, but I got a picture I really, really like. But I was uncomfortable, and sometimes being uncomfortable helps you get to places you normally wouldn't go, where you don't normally feel either emotionally or physically safe. I err on the side of being emotionally uncomfortable a little bit in my legs. Sometimes I'll feel physically uncomfortable. But whatever that means for you, figure that out. Figure out how being maybe a little uncomfortable can make your photos more interesting. Think about what that means for you. Does it mean travel or hiking or going to places? Does it mean asking someone, can I take your picture? Does it mean trying something new, a new technique, a new type of photography, all those various things that are maybe uncomfortable, but they might lead you to a place, hopefully, where you're taking more interesting photos. So there you have it, the 11 habits for more interesting photos, ending here with number 11, get uncomfortable. I hope you've enjoyed this series of videos. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them here on YouTube, or if you're a student at Highline, please feel free to send me an email or talk to me during class. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to creating more of these videos. So until we meet again.